Yes, you may start the meeting when you wish. Wonderful. Welcome, everyone. Before we begin, I just want to remind you that the meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the Township's YouTube channel from the chambers. And just a quick little note of caution. These cameras in front of us are super sensitive to noise, so if there's a cough or a stir, they'll flip attention over to the gallery. So just keep that in mind if you don't necessarily want to be on those Zoom calls. I don't know if we have people joining us by Zoom today, but I don't believe we do. So we'll go through and call the roll. We've got Deputy Mayor Nelson.
Present.
Councillor Watt.
Present.
Councillor Report.
Present.
Councillor Johnston.
Present.
Of course, myself, Heather Watson, and on the staff bench, we have our acting CAO and clerk, Martina J. Hartwig. Good afternoon. Our legislative assistant, Patty O'Grady. Hello. Chief Building Official, Don Hellman. Hello. Planner, Christina Coulter. Present. Fire Chief, Chuck Pearson. Director, Manager of Recreation, Mike Mann. Welcome, everyone. So with 4 minutes attendance, I will call the meeting to order, beginning with the land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Nishnawbe and Anishinaabe. We offer our gratitude to the First Peoples for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations, and may we honor those teachings. We'll just pause for a moment of silent reflection, but before we do, I just want to recognize retired Sergeant Jerry Smith, who passed away recently, and he served as our OPP rep on the Douro-Dummer Police Services Board from 2002 to 2009. And we'll just pause for a moment of silent reflection. Okay. Of course, the agenda was circulated to council. No disclosures of pecuniary interest have been made yet. If there's any, now would be the time to disclose. Seeing nothing, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda, please? Councillor Report, Deputy Mayor Nelson, all in favor? And that motion carries. We have item number 6, the adoption of the minutes for April 2nd. Everybody's excited for that. Councillor Johnson, seconded by Councillor Watt. Any discussions on those? All in favor? That also carries. On to our consent agenda. We've got a number of items before us. Are there any items that council wishes to hold for discussion later? Seeing nothing, then a motion to adopt or receive or approve. Councillor Report, seconded by Deputy Mayor Nelson, all in favor? And that carries. Great. On to section number 8, we do have a public meeting for zoning bylaw amendment. We will look to open the public meeting. Councillor Report, seconded by Councillor Johnston, all in favor? And that carries. And I will now hand the floor over to Ms. Coulter.
Thank you, Mayor Watson, members of council, staff, and the public. This is the public meeting for proposed zoning bylaw amendment, file number R-08-24. Council has before them report planning 2024-12 with the recommendation that report planning 2024-12 dated April 16th, 2024 regarding zoning bylaw amendment file R-08-24 be received, and that council receive all comments related to the zoning bylaw amendment file R-08-24, and that provided council is satisfied the proposed use and rezoning would not preclude or hinder the establishment of new aggregate operations or access to the resources, the bylaw to enact the amendment be passed at the appropriate time in the meeting. As background, owners Francis Joseph McMahon and Paul Stephen Gerard McMahon have applied to amend the existing zoning on a portion of their property known as 129 Douro-Dummer line. Paul is in attendance today. Notice of the public meeting and complete application was given on March 22nd, 2024 by ordinary mail and email as prescribed under the regulations of the Ontario Planning Act. Notices were also posted on the subject property and on the township website. The subject property has multiple zones and fronts on County Road 4 and Douro-Dummer line. For the purposes of the zoning bylaw, County Road 4 is considered the front lot line and Douro-Dummer line is considered an exterior side lot line. The owners did obtain a building permit for the construction of an agricultural storage building in the portion of the subject property that is zoned rural. In the rural zone, agricultural buildings and structures require a minimum exterior side yard of 45 meters. The building permit was issued based on the submitted site plan that demonstrated the proposed structure did comply with the bylaw. However, during construction, the building department became aware that the agricultural building was not located in accordance with the approved site plan and was encroaching into the exterior side yard by approximately 19 meters. So the zoning bylaw proposes to rezone a portion of the subject lands from the rural zone to the special district 258 zone to reduce the minimum exterior side yard requirement from 45 meters to 25 meters. That will allow the continued construction of the agricultural storage building. All other applicable zones and provisions of the bylaw as amended will continue to apply to the subject property. Council has a copy of the draft bylaw. After the writing of this report, comments were received from the owner of 298 County Road 4 in support of the application. I believe that Mr. Rhodes is present tonight. Yes. There have been no other comments received from members of the public. Comments were received from the following agencies. Enbridge Gas had no objections to the application. Peterborough County Engineering and Design had no objections, comments, or concerns. Worth of Pine Ridge District School Board, no concerns related to their mandate. MTO, the ministry has reviewed its files and does acknowledge that the ministry has issued a building and land use permit for this property. MTO has no concerns with the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. However, should the proponent intend on developing the subject lands in the future, additional MTO review and approvals will be required. Autonomy Region Conservation Authority. Orca mapping indicates that the proposed development is not located within a known hazard. Therefore, it is the opinion of Autonomy Conservation staff that the application is consistent with section 3.1 of the provincial policy statement referencing natural hazards. Orca mapping did indicate that the lands are partially subject to their Ontario Regulation 41/24, which is Autonomy Conservation's prohibited activities, exemptions, and permits regulation. And they did indicate that permits from their agency may be required prior to any site alteration or construction in those regulated areas. They also indicated that the property is not located within a vulnerable area that is subject to the Trent Source Protection Plan policies. The application was circulated to senior staff on March 22nd, and there were no concerns identified. Lastly, the property does contain an active Class B licensed aggregate pit and primary sand and gravel aggregate resources. The agricultural storage building is located within the mapped aggregate resource and within 300 meters of the pit. So provincial policy statement 2.5.2.5 does state that in known deposits of mineral aggregate resources and on adjacent lands, development and activities which would preclude or hinder the establishment of new operations or access to the resource shall only be permitted if the resource use would not be feasible or the proposed land use or development serves a greater long-term public interest and issues of public health, public safety, and environmental impact are addressed. So provided council is satisfied that the proposed use and rezoning would not preclude or hinder the establishment of the new aggregate, any new aggregate operations or access to the resources, the proposed rezoning does appear to meet the intent of municipal and provincial policies. So with that, I will turn it back to you, Mayor Watson, for any questions from the public or council.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Is there anyone, before I turn over to council, is there anyone present who would like to comment on the application at all? Madam Clerk, is there anybody on Zoom?
We do not have anyone.
Okay, thank you very much. Council, questions? Comments on the application? Pretty straightforward. So we'll just, from there, need a motion to close the public meeting. Council report, seconded by Deputy Mayor Nelson. All in favor? That carries. So we do need a motion to receive Ms. Coulter's report and the comments, and then if you want, we can bump that bylaw up so that folks who are here for that can get on with their evening. Councilor Johnston, motion to receive?
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Nelson, seconding that. All in favor? That carries. So we'll turn over to, on the agenda, item 13.1. And we get a motion on bylaw. Councilor Watt, seconded by Councilor Gordon. All in favor? And that carries. Okay, folks, so you're good to go for a little bit anyways, the 20-day standard waiting period. And yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay, but feel free to leave as well. You're welcome. Okay, next up, we have a delegation from Paul. Come on up, Mr. Mead. Regarding a request for recognition plaque at the Douro Park. And former Deputy Mayor Mulcair is joining. Welcome.
I'm Paul Spooner.
Well, gentlemen, keep in mind procedurally, there's 10 minutes for the delegation, and I will promptly make sure that your bodyguard takes you on the stage. If you go over that time, Mr. Mead, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Watson and councillors for allowing us this time to present the following to you. On or about January the 15th, 1974, 50 years ago this year, the Township of Douro finalized the purchase of the Douro Cowley Farm on the Douro second line from his estate for park use and the creation of Douro Park. What a positive legacy for the council of the day in 1974 to have such a foresight for the citizens of the day and the future generations that this community should recognize on this anniversary. Purchase price for this approximately 150 acres of property, $68,000. What a deal in 2024 dollar values. Council members, Reed, Dick Kavanaugh, Deputy Reed, Bob Allen, councilors, Fred Heffernan, Harry Perriton, and Gerald Wildman. Clerk treasurer was Cleta Sullivan, who probably looked into most of the details to complete this transaction. We would like to recognize these individuals or a family member representing for making this valuable community legacy available to the residents and the future generations of the residents. What a valuable asset for the community for a wide range of uses for the river, for canoe, kayaks, and swimming. Proposal for placement recognition for plaques in the park. Proposal to create and cause as a special day in 2024 to build an increased sense of community for current and past residents to celebrate. Maybe even a sack race for the current councilors. Wouldn't that be cool? On occasion to create a homecoming atmosphere. A presentation to the former councilors or a family representative to say thank you to the legacy for the foresight demonstrated by the Douro-Dummer Council members and the clerk treasurer in 1973 and 1974. So far, we've asked Councillor Johnson to foster this exciting project for perhaps a large homecoming event, maybe to take place on July the 1st. This, July the 1st falls on Monday. Why did we approach Ray? The reason being that he is a Douro ward councillor and he is well connected with a large number of community volunteers, including St. Joseph Knights of Columbus with over 100 members and the Warsaw Lions. This event could not be successful without the help of a large number of volunteers. We feel that Ray will be the best to champion the exciting family events. We would appreciate if you could authorize whatever support is necessary to make this family event a great opportunity to build an even bigger sense of pride in the Douro-Dummer community. And to recognize Ray, and to authorize Ray to work with the committee to start a planning process to make things happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mead. Well, that's really exciting, 50 years ago, and it is a crown jewel in the community, Douro Park. It's a beautiful, beautiful space. Thank you for your research and work to bring that forward to us. Council, any questions of our delegation? Councilor Watt?
I do, through Madam Mayor. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much to your bodyguard for coming in tonight. Make sure it didn't get too rowdy. I think before there was a bit of discussion out of putting up a commemorative sign, whatever, to recognize, is that part of maybe what is going to be discussing?
2 plaques.
With the 2 plaques? And that was kind of where I was leading with this question, because there's both sides of the river, so South Park, North Park. And I believe, was that all one farm, like both sides? It wasn't 2 separate properties, it was all, okay, that's what I wasn't quite clear on. And yeah, it would be great to have a South Park and North Park signs on that. So no, that answers my question. Thank you very much for your presentation, and I look forward to getting this on my bill.
As to the chair, I met with Paul and Carl and Mike, and I told them on the event committee. So this being the event that I would work towards with them, with the group, to make this successful. It's something that we need to recognize people that put this motion through, and the council today that paid for this park that we have now. You can't put a value on it. Now, I don't want to say too much as far as what we want to do, because we have an event committee, and I'm going to sit with them very, very soon and going over this. But one proposal that we're going to put forward, and I'd like to say it, and I need the support of the event committee, but is to have the July 1st, the parade that we normally have in Douro, to move it for a 1-year time to over to the second line, and have a parade from one ballpark over to the south ballpark, from the north to the south. And we felt that given the time and on a holiday and everything on there, it would put the community together, because we need a lot of support. And we have other groups that we're also going to ask for support. But anyways, that's why my name came up. It wasn't that I'm any better than anybody else, but I'm just saying that we need to recognize this, and very, very feel proud of this in our community. And I do want to thank Paul and Carl for coming forward and bringing this to our attention. All I can say, if I'm the member that's run with it, I'm going to run with it. And we'll be needing a lot of support from outside people to make this work.
Thank you for that, Councillor Johnston. It sounds like there's the makings of a motion there, Councillor.
I can make a motion for myself.
Sure you can.
Well, I make a
You're
motion
the
that
events committee,
the
so.
event committee group get together and organize it with outside helpers to make this happen on July 1st of this year.
Okay, seconded? Sorry,
With a question.
with a question, most certainly.
I just wondered, do you have a cost on what kind of plaques you'd like to put up, or you just haven't went that far yet? Okay, so I guess that.
I was just thinking, Mike, do you have any sense of this already?
Through the mayor to council, I don't have a formal cost. I know that I did talk to Martina in regards to, we do have another plaque like at the property, and it's commemorating Bill Russell for the Shamrock Soccer Club. And so we did chat about where it was procured before, and we're gonna look into some costing for something similar, if that's what the committee ultimately wants to go with, like that same style. So, but if they have an idea, if they want to put forward, I don't mind finding the costing for whatever they would like.
Okay, thank you for that. Sorry, did anybody else have a question?
No, just, that's good.
Okay, Councilor Watt?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, and just real quickly, I think this is a fantastic idea, and maybe, Mike, you can hit Paul up in the next few days, whatever like that, and make sure that we have somewhere to get funds to do this, because I would really like to see it happen. But the treasurer's gonna have to tell us where we're getting this money from, so, but it's definitely gonna come from somewhere.
Councilor Johnson?
One more comment that I'd like to make on it is that it's a time that we can get our community out to see what we've done at the park, especially the new pickleball courts that we have and the tennis court and the new refreshment booth and washrooms that we just established and have been working. So it's a time to for people to see the park. Not everybody used to the park, but they should at least see what they're available, because there's a lot of activity that could be done in the park.
That's good. That was a Deputy Mayor Moher.
I'm glad to see my seat is warm anyway.
Right.
My point is, they're bringing me grants for heritage and culture, because it is a milestone. It's well respected throughout this whole community, Greater Peterborough area, the Douro Park. So there's all kinds of activity out there that people enjoy that park. And I'm sure Clea Sullivan did a lot of the research, and he shouldn't be left out on it. He probably did most of the legwork.
Yeah.
To make it happen.
Great, thank you for that. So it sounds like we have a motion on the floor to receive the presentation, to get the committee working on it and move forward. And that was duly seconded by Deputy Mayor Nelson. We'll just call for the vote then, all in favor? And that motion carries. So gentlemen, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome to stick around.
Okay, moving on, we have another delegation, Brian McCall from Lakeville College School.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir, and absolutely, the floor is yours when you're ready, and you'll have 10 minutes as well.
Super. I assume this was my presentation was.
It was.
There you go.
just-
Excellent. Madam Mayor, thank you very much. Members of council, I'm here on behalf of Lakeville College School, residing in Douro-Dummer. The school has undertaken a large project. It consists of two phases or two sections within the project. We're building a new extension onto our school block. We're doing it to enhance our programs for the students that are offering. So it consists of a large fitness and a large dance area, some extra classrooms. At the same time, we're building a new community hall, which is going to be the focus and the center of the school block for the years to come. Both of these projects are renovations to existing buildings. In the case of the community hall, we're renovating a building that was built in the 60s. It's part of our strategic plan to try to be regenerative and environmentally focused. By rebuilding or reusing this building, we're getting new life out of a very old building. It has some issues. It's given us an opportunity to fix those issues. It's a heating ventilation nightmare because it was built in the 60s. Gives us an opportunity to fix those out. So we're in a bit of a hurry as always. The plan is to try to get this construction underway to avoid some of the seasonal issues with doing foundations in the winter. We've been working on the project and been working with our partners and Orca and et cetera to understand the construction, understand the requirements. Douro-Dummer has been a partner also. In site plan relief, initially, we do the site plans as pieces, kind of when the construction, we talked about amalgamating that. We're running into a little bit of a resource crunch on that amalgamation. So this relief is basically asking on this project for these two permits, because it's not expanding the school, it's basically, we're gonna say, stay pretty much the same population. It's not having influence on water, sewer, stuff like that, because it's already in the built area. That's why we're asking for the site. And so if we just pop to the next couple of slides, I wanted to give the township kind of a look at the size of these buildings and how they fit into a basically scale. So the first one up is, if you pop to one more slide, please. This is the new community center that we're looking at. So it's a rendering of it. It's kind of hard to see if you're not familiar with the school. Just quickly on my own, but basically this section here is the new build. This is the 1960s building, so we're additioning onto the side of it. This right now is just a parking lot. So we're basically using that land for it. If you go to the next one. Sorry, that's just the view from the other side. So again, you know, old building, new building, old building, what we're looking at proposing. Up to the next slide, please. So unfortunately, I don't have a graphic extension, but this is the school block of Lakeville College School right now for a size comparison. This is the new building we're putting in our community hall on the 1960s William Smith building. This is our classroom block. There's classrooms along here, gym classrooms. So this extension just builds off the end of that building. So we're looking at proposing to do in this section. Sorry, I've got my slides out of order, if you want to progress to the next slide. This is a typical, this is the extension. So that's the original school block. This is the section we're building on. The goal of Lakeville College School is a harmonization of architecture so that the new buildings look exactly like the other buildings, so there's no visual differentiator once the building's in and has been built for a period of time. If you go to the next slide. This is the typical site plan that we provided with the building permit at this point. So the site plan is incorporating just the area that we're concerned about. The actual relief is we're doing the whole site plan of the whole school property, which is the other 60 acres, as you say, at this point. That's the end of my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Mr. McCall. Any questions from council? Councilor Johnston.
The only question I would have is that I would like to have our building inspector, Don, give your opinion on what he's asking for. I mean, it's out of my range of knowing whether you can do something like this or can't do it, or when you need it or anything else. So I'd like to hear your comment on it.
For you, Madam Mayor, we've definitely been in consultation with Lakeville College School. I think Brian brings up, they're a good steward of their land. They keep the facilities and the property looking nice. Site plan control is meant for that. It's meant for us to get an idea of what they're looking to do on the entire site and make sure that they maintain the site appropriate for the community, that it looks good and it's a focal point in our community. We've talked with some of the other agencies as well, and I think on these projects, what we've talked about is some site grading isn't changing drastically, which won't affect stormwater management. There's no increased load in traffic to the school, so MTO currently it won't be really affecting what they have to do. Is kind of the way that the other agencies have looked at this. In one of the slides that was on Brian's slide, it talked about that if there was, they're talking about putting in some parking lots in the future, I think. And the discussion is that potentially on that time, more consideration needs to be given to the whole site plan control of that. And again, when we look at traffic flow and stormwater retention or stormwater management, but with these two buildings, given how good of stewards they are with the land, and the minimal impact on what we would control in site plan control anyways. Again, council's decision, but I think the building department wouldn't oppose relief from our site plan control bylaw, but we're bound by the bylaw. So we need the direction of council to not seek that. That would, I think, stall the project significantly and maybe cause them hardship.
Thank you, Mr. Holman. Councilor Johnston.
So you're just a chair. So saying what you're saying, and this addition is going in the parking lot. So we would need to address the parking lot fairly soon, maybe before after school or whatever. If we're taking away from the parking lot, we need to kind of get on that right away anyways, for the parking lot's sake.
Which one is it?
Sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, so it's a parking lot of parking lots. So there's multiple parking lots in Lakeville College School. So this is 120 car parking lot. There's almost 200 parking spots on site. So we'll be working on relief. You know, our target for the relief would be next September when we get into the school more of a peak period, we're okay, and basically, we're okay through the summer because we're just running summer camps, so population drops significantly during the summer period.
Thank you. Councillor Johnson, any further questions?
No, that was good.
Councillor Report, then Councillor Watt.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Brian. And thank you, Don, for comments on building department's perspective. This really does seem like a no-brainer type of comment that I'm going to make, is that we do provide Lakeville College with relief for the site plan at this point.
Okay, I'll come back to you for that motion after Councillor Watt's question. Okay, great. So we have a motion and it looks like Councillor Watt will second that. Okay, any discussion on the motion? All in favor? That motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Cobb, for your presentation. We probably should get a motion to receive that. Councillor Watt, Councillor Reward, all in favor, and that too carries.
Thank you very much. Good luck with all the construction.
Okay, moving right along, we have no registered speakers for our public comment period, so on to staff reports, item 10.1, report and capital project status. Any questions or comments from staff on the report? And if not, then just simply a motion to receive. Councillor Johnson, a motion?
No.
Thanks, Councillor Johnson, all in favor? That carries. On to 10.2, fire department paging, and over to our chief.
Thank you. So you do have the report before you. I've kind of tried to summarize it. This is the file that we've been working with, so I'm trying to narrow it down as much as possible. But when it comes to notifying Douro-Dummer Fire Services of an emergency, our primary notification to our volunteer firefighters has historically been paging. In recent years, we've enhanced this by the integration of technology through Who's Responding app. Although this app is effective, it's not marketed or designed to be a primary notification system. Our current paging network provider has given notice that we need to find another option, as paging will not be in their future plans. We have worked on an intermediate step to relieve some of the pressure for their office by putting hardware at our fire dispatch while still utilizing their tower network. This is still a short-term solution, and PassPage has been very gracious to not leave us without paging, but we need to find a permanent solution. The committee was established and directed to explore 6 options were outlined in the report. After more than 2 years of research, many meetings with service providers, fire chiefs, presentations with CAOs, and other fire departments in the province that have gone through this process, a recommendation was made by the committee to select the Swiss phone dial paging technology, with Bell being the community safety provider as the owner of the system. Ownership gets into a whole nother challenges, so it was agreed that not owning a system because of our size and the many partners would be the best. So this recommendation was based upon the information extracted from all these conversations, ensuring we address the key points that are highlighted by your bullet points in the report. Bell has provided the group with a confidential technical statement of work that has met our requirements. The design infrastructure meets CSA and NFPA standards on Swiss phone technology, and the numerous fail-safes that it has to ensure reliable emergency notification service. So my recommendation, based on 2 years of this, is that the Fire Chief 2024-04 report dated April 16, 2024 regarding the fire department paging be received, and that the council authorizes the clerk to sign the Bell paging agreement as it is circulated through the participating municipalities. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Chief. Council? Deputy Mayor Nelson.
Through the mayor, thanks, Chuck, for the report. A question I have is what, and I'm sure you have asked this many times or whatever, but what happens in an emergency situation when power outages go out? How does this system work when that happens?
Sure, through the mayor to the deputy mayor. So this Bell, there's 8 towers involved. All the towers are Bell owned. There's 2 in town, that one is on our dispatch center that obviously Bell doesn't own. And there's another one on another building to connect as a backhaul. But the infrastructure that's out through the county are all on Bell mobility towers. they all have battery backups that last a certain amount of time. I don't have them, I do have the numbers in my technical report, but I'm thinking that 4 or 5 of them have automatic generation, and the rest of them are all wired to just receive a generator. So once they have notification of a failure, which is monitored 24/7, 365, that backup battery system would allow them to get time to to bring a generator out on a trailer, plug it in to those sites, and so that there is no power interruption, even if power is out around us. So that.
Thanks.
Any other questions from council? Councillor Johnston?
Just a comment, I really want to thank you for, and I know this has been a long process, but to do it what's best for our community. I really want to thank you, Chuck, for working on this.
Thank you for that, Councillor Johnson. I have just one question for clarification. In your report, you referenced the app, which I don't have the report in front of me, but the mobile app that the who's responding app, I believe it's called, that it's not an official or licensed or deemed replacement or primary tool, and that we, because of that, we're obviously needing the radio system. Do we anticipate that the app will, take over, or will there always be the need for the system in the future?
So good question. So right now they're not marketing it as a primary notification system for us. So for me to recommend it and anything happen to it, which it does go down, we do get notifications when it is down. So it's a great tool for us to use, knowing how many people are coming, where they're coming from. We have pre-plans in there, water locations, and a whole host of things that help us effectively do our job. This agreement is for 7 years because we know how technology moves. Right now, the weakest link is either if you don't have cell service wherever you are, you won't get any notification on the app. And if go back to our storm of May of 2022, during that storm, we lost paging, we lost radio communications, and we lost cell service, which affected our app. Fortunately, we didn't lose all 3 at the same time. So that's the other important piece that, there's discussion in these 6 options about paging over our radio towers, but, through everything that everybody else has done and the studies that has happened, keeping those 2 separate systems separate is a benefit, to get the notification that someone needs our help. So that's why we've gone that route. So at this point, I wouldn't be confident saying, 100% of the time we're going to get that notification, because it is relying on cell service only. There's no redundancy to that.
Understood. Thank you very much for that clarification. Councillor
I
Johnson?
want to make a motion to follow the recommendation and to sign the contract application.
Okay. Councillor Watt, seconding that?
Yes.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? That motion carries.
Thank you.
We're good to go on that one. Okay, moving on, item 10.3, 2023 council remuneration statement. A motion to receive, I'm assuming at this point, but I don't know if anybody wants to talk through it.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'm available to discuss the report in Paul's absence.
Was that a motion to receive that?
Receive it, yes.
Councillor Wood, second by Deputy Mayor Nelson. Any discussion on the motion? No? All in favor? That motion carries. Thank you. We have committee reports, library board minutes and committee of the whole. A motion on both will suffice. Councillor Report, Deputy Mayor Nelson, any discussion on those? All in favor? That carries. Looking down on correspondence, 12.1, Wawanesa Insurance, Notice of Wildfire Prevention Grant for Township of Douro-Dummer. What would you like to do with this one, Council? Answer what?
Receiving support, I guess Chuck's getting some money for some, well-needed things in the township here, so that's always good to get.
Receive with thanks.
Sure. Thanks, yeah.
Seconded? Councilor Gilmore, Tom, was that a question?
No question, yeah.
That's okay, sorry.
One of the you have to do, Chuck, is on the map with white horse.
through the mayors, to Councilor Nelson. So we try to keep an eye on grants. We apply as they come in. Some were successful, some were not. This one, again, this is a Canada-wide grant. And we're fortunate enough they liked our proposal that we put together. So we were selected. So just paperwork to fill it out and keeping an eye on when these things come available. No magic to it. We just try to put a good package together because we know it's high competition. And sometimes you think, it's across Canada. Are we, do we stand a chance? But obviously we were successful. So
Well, thank you, good job.
So we have a motion on the floor?
Yeah.
All in favor? That motion carries. We've got 12.2, public health, Gabriel Public Health, just regarding the well water sampling program resuming. Councilor Gort,
Motion to receive.
seconded by Deputy Councilor Johnston. All in favor? That motion carries. 12.3, Township of Terrence Bay, resolution regarding support of a measured approach to Ontario's energy transition. Councilor Gort.
To make a motion to receive and support.
Seconded, Deputy Mayor Johnson, any discussion? All in favor? That carries. 12.4, Town of Shelburne regarding the eradication of Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. Deputy Mayor Johnson.
Motion to receive.
Seconded. Councilor Watt, any discussion? All in favor? That motion carries. We already passed the bylaw. We have no reports. Are there any notices of motion? Any announcements? I have but one. I'm gonna get the terminology on this wrong. On April 1st, the Solicitor General through, I think it was Solgen, had basically our police services board in Douro-Dummer no longer exists based on decisions that were made by the province some time ago, so that we're working towards an amalgamated board. So the existing board fell, that amalgamated board is basically taking place or is now in power and getting organized. I am the appointee representing this council on that board currently, but really I just wanted to recognize our now outgoing chair, Ken Jackman, as well as the provincial appointee, Caroline Goodenough, who served on that police services board for a number of years and helped kind of through that transition, those discussions. So just an announcement on the ending, termination of the local board and acknowledging those two individuals for their service and volunteers in the community. Any other announcements at all? Seeing nothing, we do have a closed session. We don't need a motion to go into closed unless we want to discuss the minutes prior to approving them procedurally. So if no one on council wants to discuss those, we would just simply look for a motion to approve those minutes. But if we do want a discussion, then we can have a motion to close. So we'll go council on that.
Would you make a motion to receive those minutes?
Okay.
From the
Seconded by Councilor Ward. All in favor? That motion carries. So moving down, we just need to go with the confirming bylaw. Councilor Watt, Deputy Mayor Nelson, all in favor? That carries. Our next meeting is Tuesday, May 7th, and lastly, just a motion to adjourn. Deputy Mayor Nelson, seconded by Councilor Johnston, all in favor? And that also carries. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.